Hi and welcome to this video where I'd like to demonstrate the Stakka microprocessor controlled macro rail produced by ASM Manufacturing. Each rail is supplied complete with an instruction manual that contains details on safety, control unit setup and obviously full contact details. Okay, let's move on to the rail itself, which I already have mounted on a tripod. The driver of this rail is a high torque stepper motor which drives the camera carrier along hardened guide rails on each side of the unit. The screw is a 12mm diameter 4mm pitch ball screw driving this carrier through a flexible coupling. On top of the carrier is a quick release camera mount, and at the rear of the unit is a standard 1/4x20 UN quick release plate as found on most tripods. Here you can see the polished aluminium plate underneath the rail that the quick release plate connects to in conjunction with your tripod, gives you a good stable mounting. To remove the top camera mount, you simply release the clamp lever as indicated, pressing the safety button at the rear and slide the camera mount from the carrier. The top camera mount is fitted with 2 screws and a pin. The smaller of the screw is standard on most SLR cameras, the larger one for videos, and the anti-rotational pin to stop rotation, again mostly for videos. We're only going to be using the smaller screw in this demonstration, so we'll slide the others away. I'll mount the camera, the standard Canon SLR camera, to the mount, and then we can move forward and take it further. Simply attach the mount to the camera, securing the screw tightly. Make sure you have the camera facing the right way. I'll only finger tighten the mount for now, but normally you'd want to make sure this is quite firm to minimise any camera movement. Reattach the mount to the slide carrier by depressing the safety pin on the slide nearest me. Slide the mount back into the carrier and lock in place with the clamp screw. I have the carrier positioned in the centre of the slide, which gives me around 50mm movement forward and backwards. The total movement possible from one end to the other is around 100mm. Also, part of the macro slide is a motor power lead, which is coiled and fitted with a 4-pin locking female connector, as you can see here. Now for the brains behind the control of the Stakka macro rail. This is a 3.2-inch colour touchscreen housed in an aluminium extrusion. The top of the unit, there's 2 connections, one for the stepper motor and one for the shutter release. And the bottom of the unit is the 12-volt DC supply. It's important to remember that you should not connect the power until you have connected both the stepper motor and the camera shutter release. Failure to do so could result in damage to the motor drive board. This is also stated in the instruction manual which is supplied. Okay, let's connect the motor to the unit. You'll notice the clip on the cable connector as indicated here, and a small location slot on the corresponding connector of the control unit. These must be located before firmly pressing the connections together. A click will be heard when fully home. The same applies to the shutter release connector, but in this case there are only 3 pins as shown here. Right, now we have both cables connected to the control unit. I'll now connect the other end of the remote shutter release to the camera. It should be remembered at this point that all camera controls should be set on manual. The lens focus should also be on manual prior to using the control unit. Finally, we can now connect the 12-volt DC supply. You will notice there is a collar attached to the plug. This is to prevent accidentally pulling the supply unit out when in use. To attach this, you simply push the connections together and secure by tightening the collar. We can now connect to the mains and power on. The first screen to appear is the general settings screen. The second screen is accessed by pressing the Stakka button at the bottom of the first screen, indicated here. The top row of buttons allow you to rapid move forward and backwards by using the forward, backwards and stop button. The second row is the exposure time and the third row is the wait time. We'll move over to the second screen. At the top of the second screen are the direction buttons that require the slide to travel in. The second row is the total number of images you wish to take. The third row is the distance those images need to be taken over. And underneath those is a reset counter. And obviously at the bottom is the button to return you back to the first screen. You also have a start button and a reset button, should you require to do so. Before we go on back to this first screen and start doing the settings, it's important to remember that there are sliders on screen 2. These will allow you to rough adjust the settings prior to accurately setting them using the buttons, fine-tuning if you like. Okay, let's go back to the first screen and start putting some settings in. As I've already explained, the top of the first screen is the jogger buttons. By pressing the forward button, you'll be able to see the slide going forward. It will continue to do so until you press stop. The same applies to the reverse function, and again it will continue to move until you press stop. Let's now set the exposure time. Again, forward and backward buttons to increase or decrease the time. Normally, on a standard setup with good lighting conditions, an exposure of 1 second is ample. But you can set this to suit yourself. We'll now set the wait time. And again, that wait time is important to allow the camera to stabilise itself in between each shot. Pressing Stakka will now take us onto the second screen, where we can set the number of images. In this case I will set for 5. We can set the total distance to travel. I'll set this to 10 millimeters. And here you can see the display. There's now showing total number of images to take is took is 0, but the total number to take is 5. Okay, if we watch the carrier now and I press the start button, we'll now see the movement. As you can see indicated now on the bottom of the display is total number of images taken, 5 out of a total of 5. We'll now select it to go forward. I'll press the counter reset here. That will now reset the counter back to 0 images taken, and we can now start the process off again. In this case you'll see the camera moving in a forward direction. Notice the image light on the screen flashing on each time a picture is taken. One of the problems with this demonstration, of course, is that you cannot actually see it activating the camera. So I'll reset the counter on the unit, and we'll connect a flash unit to the camera, so each time the camera is triggered you will visually be able to see its action. Let's just reposition the video screen so that you can see everything happening, and I'll turn the flash towards the camera so you can visually see it activating as it proceeds. Okay, I think we're all ready to go, so pick up the control unit again, hit the start button, and as I said, set to 5 images. So there's your first one, camera move. Second, camera move. Third, camera move, sorry about the flash. Fourth, camera move. And finally the 5th image. And there we have it, an overview of the Stakka macro rail from ASM Manufacturing. In my opinion, a better control unit than the competition, with touchscreen and a beautiful colour display. Considering the development and build quality of this unit, a list price of $5.99 including everything bar postage is extremely good value for money. For further contact details, use the email address indicated on the final part of this video. Thank you for watching and hope to talk to you soon. All the best.